Okay, we're back. We have our molten top agar right here that we're going to be using to make our top agar plates. We have our plates that are all labeled, and we have our bacteria. So we may split this up into two videos depending on how long it takes. But before we go on, I want to thank our very gracious cameraman, so thank you. It would be hard to do it without him. So let's go on. So we have our two conditions. We have our minus arabinose condition with all of our different strains. So we have 5-alpha, 10B, 1655, 1061, same on top. And then the top is our plus arabinose condition. So we're going to have uninduced T4-IM gene expression, induced T4-IM gene expression, and we're just going to make our top agar right now. So I'm going to start off with the minus arabinose. And I'm going to be adding 100 microliters of overnight culture into the top agar mixture. So I'm just going to put this here so you don't feel what I have. So the protocol that I first learned said that you want to mix the top agar and the bacteria beforehand and then plate it. What I noticed is that when I was doing that, I got a lot of cooling of the top agar in the small aliquots, and it just didn't work that well for me. So I've just actually been putting the bacteria on the plate and then immediately putting the top agar on top of that and swishing it around, so that when the top agar is in here, we have a little bit more mass. Remember Newton's whole energy change thing? There's a bigger mass, it'll stay warmer longer. It also makes it easier. We can just reheat it back up if we need to. So I have my P200. Going to grab P200. Going to grab 100 microliters of our DH5 alpha PBAD T4-IM strain. It's saturated. You can see right there, everything looks good. Actually, I'm just going to give that a little shake. I've had this sitting on my bench for a few minutes. Just don't want anything to settle out. So I'm going to give it a little shake. And I'm going to pull out 100 microliters. I'm going to squirt that right in the center. Eject my tip. Get my P1000. This is set for 900 microliters. Usually you do 1,000, but we're kind of on the edge here with the top agar, so just to conserve. Now it is warm, so you don't want to kill your cells. So I'm going to pull it up, and I'm actually going to leave this open for right now. And now it's cooling down while it's in my pipette tip. So it's warm, so I'm not going to hit right on it, but I'm just going to kind of go a big splash, so there's not too much thermal energy. Eject that tip, and then I'm going to mix it all around. I'm actually going to cap this. You can see I want to hit it a little bit, and I want to really cover all ends of this plate. I want to make sure that there's no parts that the top agar hasn't hit, and then I just go back and forth like this, and that will slowly mix the bacteria in. And since these plates are a little bit cooler, the top agar will start to solidify. And you can see right now it's already pretty much hardened, so that was a little bit quicker than I thought. So we'll just keep that in mind. So I'm going to close this one for now so that I know that I did that. Again, I did 2 aliquots of this. Let's do that again. So my P200 is right here. Grab 100 microliters of our culture. Put it right along there. And then I'm actually going to do this. So you try to get everything. See it mixing back and forth. Really try to get that mixing, and I kind of rotate as I go back and forth. You can see it's starting to harden. There we go. So we'll just let that solidify for a little while. Let's do this a few more times. So we'll get P200 one more time. I kind of like this line method. So when I'm doing that line, what I'm trying to do is make sure that the bacteria is already spread out a decent amount, so that when I add my top agar, it will already be somewhat mixed out and all over the place, so that when I spread it, we're going to get less little variations in bacterial density. So there we go. There we go. And again, what I'm trying to do when I'm adding my top agar, because I know it's hot, is I don't want to have one glob of cells and then just pour all this top agar right on top of it. I want to try to spread that out around the plate so that it will cool down a little faster, so that our cells aren't getting scalded and burned by this. They're still getting a little bit of scalding and burning, but I'm trying to minimize that. We have a little bubble on top. I'm just going to nick that off. So lightly, you don't want to fry your cells too much. So there we go. So I'm going to try to speed it up a little bit. P200. We're going to get our last strain here. This is MC1061. Going to do that line. Again, you can come up with your own technique. This seems to have worked for me so far. We're going to get our top agar line again, kind of increasing the area over which that top agar goes, and it should be pretty well mixed even before I start mixing it back and forth. Really want to make sure it covers everything. What I'll do is I'll pool it at the bottom, and then I'll just kind of go back and forth. So it pools and then it spreads over. So if I ever have any areas you'll see which don't get covered by the top agar at first, when I do that little pool thing, it's kind of like, let's say that there's an area there that's not covered in top agar, I'll pool it and then I'll kind of flip it like that, and then it'll take care of it, it'll cover it over, it'll spill over it. Okay, so this one's nice and hard. So these we're going to let harden, and then we're going to let them dry over the flame for a little bit, so that when we put in the phage, it doesn't just spread all over the place. We're going to try to spot nice even phage spots. Okay, so let's continue. This top agar is still warm, so we're good to go. So I'm going to stack these plates and get them out of the way. I'm going to clear up our bench. And I'm going to flip these over. Now these are the plus arabinose conditions. So I'm actually going to take our P100 one more time. We have about 10 mils here left, and I'm actually going to add some arabinose. I'm going to spike it directly into there. Now, if I was doing like a publication quality experiment, what I would have done, I would have had 2 different things of top agar, and I would have spiked in some dummy arabinose. That would be just some water, just to have that control condition. But since this is kind of a first pass experiment, that shouldn't make too much of a difference. I'd be very surprised if it did. But you want to try to control for as much as you can. Okay, so let's take off our tops. So now we are going to do the exact same thing. We're going to be pulling 100 microliters of cells out of here, putting it on there, and then our top agar this time will be having arabinose in it. So, let's see, get all confused. Alright, we got our P200. We're going to pull out some DH5 alpha with our phage T4M. Give a little line. Then I'm going to take our top agar. It should have arabinose in it. I've mixed it up, making sure everything's all nice and homogeneous. Pull out 900 microliters. Do a little line, 1, 2, and then go all the way down, go all the way around, and then you can see I have kind of a smiley face right there. That's what I'm talking about. I'm going to pull it down there and then move it. And then that kind of made our smiley face disappear. And then from there, I just kind of rock it back and forth at different angles. I'm rocking and rotating the plate. I have a few bubbles here, light flame, get rid of those. So we're good here. Do that just a few more times. So DH10B, phage T4M, 100 microliters, quick little line, check tip, P1000, new tip, 900 mils with arabinose, microliters, plus another 900 microliters, goes in there, back, forth, getting rid of that little smiley face. You can see those areas where the top agar doesn't want to spread. Come on, not behaving. There we go. The other thing that you want to note when you're working with, or when you're pipetting agar in general, anything kind of that will solidify, is that you're pipetting a hot liquid, and your pipette will not measure exactly what you want it to measure. So you need to be very, very careful, and you need to keep an eye out for what it's doing. Because the first time you pipette, maybe it'll be the right thing, but the second time all the temperatures have changed, all the air pressures have changed, and you will pipette a little bit more. So just be very careful. So we've done those two. So we're going on to MG1655. Get a little line. Again, the way that I'm doing it works for me. You can come up with your own way that seems to work for you empirically. This is not the law of the land or anything like that. This is, again, just what works for me. So, spread that. I don't know if the contrast is good there. We got a couple bubbles again. And bubbles on the edge aren't so bad. It's just that when the bubbles are right in the middle, they can be kind of annoying. They'll mess up the texture of your plate. We want nice, even, smooth plates. Alright, last one of this set is going to be MC1061 with a puck, amp, PBAD, C or T4 imgene. Alright, we got our line of bacteria, P1000, still warm, still molten. Pull up our 900. There we go. There we go. Eject the tip, grab it, and try to cover the entire plate. And no bubbles, well, some bubbles on the edge, but nothing that will really matter. Okay, and we're good. So that's this set. What we've done is we've taken our 4 different strains. We have DH5 alpha, DH10B, MG1655, MC1061. They all have a high copy ampicillin resistant origin or vector, and they all have PBAD T4 imgene in them. And we've essentially mixed them with this top agar concoction and spread them on plates. That was that first 4, and then we add a little bit of a ravenose to induce the expression of our gene on this plasmid, and then we did the same thing. So these should be top agar in which our strain is expressing that T4 in. So let's take a quick pause there. We're going to come back and we're going to do our next set for the C1 TRA-R.